to the Unlimited You Show's Food for the Soul Fridays with your hosts, Waukesha Green and Audra Walker. This show is designed to help you heal, break through, and break forth. We are also here to encourage you to go beyond your limitations and design the life God has planned specifically for you. We will be sharing some kingdom principles and strategies that you can take and apply to your daily lives. It's time to be healed. It's time to be whole. It's time to be free. And it's time to live your best life right now. So with that being said, we are super excited to have each and every one of you join us as we dive into a very responsible, transparent, real, and fun conversation that's impacting lives across the globe on Food for the Soul Fridays. Now let's talk about it.
Hey, sis.
Hey. I can't see y'all.
You can't see me?
Uh-uh.
I can see you.
I can't see.
I can see Jessica.
We see black screen.
Well, I don't know what's going on with your thing, sis. I can see all three of y'all. I mean, well, me, you, and Jess.
Did you cover your camera?
Is your camera covered?
No, I'm talking about Audra. Is yours covered?
No. I can see y'all.
Girl, we can't see. Sis, go out and come back in. Try that.
Okay, let me see.
Okay. Girl, how are you, Plug? Yes, y'all know I could not say it.
I know. I found a gray hair, and it's thick.
Oh, there you go, sis. Now we can see you.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what happened, honey.
I don't know because I still can see y'all.
Yeah, that was weird. So, look, how everybody doing? Y'all good? Long day. I know we didn't have a long day.
I'm hoping to go bowling tonight.
Okay. Girl,
My birthday is on a Wednesday, and I'm like, I'll be at work, so
right.
Bowling sounds about right.
I know that's right, honey. Shoot, y'all need to go get on some skates.
Everybody don't want to skate, sis. Everybody.
I'm cool with skating. I don't want to drive all the way to the west side.
Oh, okay.
Because the bowling alley is literally like maybe 10 minutes from here. So bowling is a lot closer than skating. And I don't want none of my kids driving me.
Oh, well.
No,
I'm trying to tell you. So look, we got Jessica. We got, of course, my sis Audra. So we wanted to come on here. You guys, we were actually gonna do a different topic until the Lord reminded me what this month was. And so we're gonna talk about survive to thrive tonight. So it's gonna be some questions go out. We're gonna dialogue. We're gonna have this conversation so we can help somebody else. And I basically said survive to thrive for the next generation. Because we don't just go through just for us, and it was a video that we were watching, and it's called I Forgive You. And so it was right on time, because what happens sometimes is we're just gonna we're gonna touch on. Y'all tell me what you want to talk about first: breast cancer, or y'all want to do domestic violence first? I'm gonna let's talk about it.
Let's do breast cancer and end with domestic violence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think in domestic violence we got a whole lot to
unpack,
especially with the video and stuff going on. Not that breast cancer is not important and we trying to overlook it or quick passive because we're gonna get in depth with that, but I want the majority to be about DV today. Today.
Right, right. Yeah, so with I know, sis, that you've shared your testimony before about surviving breast cancer. So what would you tell people to make sure that they're on top of that? And pretty much how I know you had shared, but it's some people that might not have heard you share
Right.
what happened during your process when you did find out that you had breast cancer. So share that if you will, and then give us some nuggets for people to be aware and how they can check and see what's going on.
Well, the first thing I would say is always do a self breast check. I know a lot of doctors got away from they clients are telling their clients to check their breasts, but I think that's very important to do every month. Had I not done that, I would have not
Right,
found the lump and I would not have noticed. I wouldn't have called my doctor.
right,
By me doing that, and I know when I was in the military, I found the lump, and they didn't do a biopsy or anything. They just did an ultrasound. It was like, oh, it's like a water cyst. It will come every time you have your menses, and just keep checking or whatever, and just go to the go get a mammogram every year. Well, I would go to get a mammogram every year, and I would get the same thing. You're not old enough yet. You have to be 40 years old to get a mammogram. And I kept telling them, like, hey, my doctor want me to get checked because I found a lump and I have a family history of breast cancer. So he wants me to get checked. They just dismissed me like it was like, you're not 40, we're not doing it. Right. But I kept checking myself, and every month it would come and go and come and go. Well, this year in 2012, it never left. And I was like, huh, like my cycle was gone for 2 weeks and it's still here,
right.
whatever. And so before that, right, I would get sharp, sharp pains in my breast.
Mm,
I was like, I'd be at work and I'm like, ah. And I was like, should I check myself in? And I was like, nah, ain't nothing. I ain't gonna check myself in. But subconsciously is telling me check in so you can get a mammogram done. You need to check
right,
it. But I'm dismissing God's voice, right?
right,
To check in. And I worked in the ER. And it was easy for me to check in and get that done. But I dismiss it like, oh, it's what my cycle, it'll go, yada
right,
yada. So, I check and I was like, okay, it's gonna go away. And I'm checking and I was like, okay, so and my husband was deployed at the time. So I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna call a doctor, whatever. So I woke up the next morning and my breast was discolored.
mm,
I'm just like, okay, well, this ain't good. So I called
right,
my doctor and he was like, come on in. And we got in and he did an ultrasound and he was like, oh, yeah, we found something there. God bless you.
Thank you.
He said, we found something there. So we're going to send you right now to get a mammogram. So when they did the mammogram, it was like, oh, yeah, we seen some tissues and, some stuff that a little concerning. So we're going to come back in 2 days. We want you to come back so we could schedule your biopsy. So they
right,
scheduled that day. I went back 2 days later, got the biopsy. They sent it off to the pathologist, and I would say within a week that the hospital called me to come up there, and they told me I had breast cancer, and I'm like, oh, okay, and it wasn't a reaction they was looking for, and
right,
like, well, we need you to go home and get somebody, and then come back. So in my mind, I'm like, why do I have to go home and get somebody and come back? You already told me I got breast cancer. What more can you tell me than that?
right. I'm already here. So what?
Bring somebody with me in the beginning. So I was
Right,
like, all right, I'll try to find somebody and come back. I said, do I have a certain time? No, just whenever you can find somebody, just come back. I said, okay. So on my way home, I'm like, now I am on this island. Because at this time, we in Hawaii. My husband is deployed. My oldest two children is too young.
right,
I'm sitting there like, who am I gonna get? I don't have no family here in Hawaii. So I'm just like, and that was literally the only time I cried. It wasn't because I had breast cancer, because like I'm alone. I don't have no family here. Who am I gonna get?
right,
So God said, stop the crying. You do have family. Call your pastor.
right.
I called my pastor, and I promise you, She was asleep. I was like, they got the results. They told me I had cancer, but they told me to go home and get somebody and come back. She said, well, come get me. By the time you get in my house, I will be ready.
Right.
I went, picked her up. We went back. They put us in the room. The doctors and them come. They looked like it was a death sentence, child. We in there crying, laughing. I don't remember the joke, but we laughing so hard, we crying.
Right.
Till they had walked in the room, they saw us laughing. They stepped out the room, looked at the name on the room, came back, Miss Walker. I was like, yes, come on in. You know that, still laughing.
Right.
They looking like, and so the doctor, he came out his mouth. He said, did they tell you? I said, oh, yeah, she told me I had cancer. And he looked puzzled, like, but why are you laughing?
Right.
And I'm looking at his face. I said, yeah, she told me. And I went and got, this is my pastor. I introduced, I said, I understand that I have breast cancer. I said, but you looking at me like I'm supposed to be crying. I'm not.
Right.
I said, no, but answer your question that you have in your head. I'm not crying because I know who my father is.
Right.
And I already know he went before me and I'm healed and I got the victory. I said, so what I need to know from you is what's the next step?
Right.
Looking at me like, what? So my pastor know I get up, like I can't take too much. Like, don't be asking, I don't told you what's the next step. Let's go. I'm going to get mad.
Right. Getting frustrated.
Yeah. So she stepped in. She said, look, she understand the diagnosis or whatever. So we want to know how active are y'all going to be? What's the next step? What are we going to do?
Right.
So he was like, well, we could do this, and this. I said, okay, that's fine. When is the quickest we can have the surgery? You don't want to think about it? Nope. I'm gonna get a double mastectomy when we can schedule the surgery.
Right.
We could get a consult in with the OR team. We could probably do it earliest like in 2 weeks. Okay, that'll work. I'm all for that. That's
Right.
all rolling. So he was like, well, I'm just giving the ballpark. I say, it don't matter. Just give me a call. Let me know. And so we went on talking more and more and more. Then he's like, do you want us to call your husband? Send for your husband? Yeah. Like,
What you
who
doing?
wouldn't their spouse there? Like, yeah, please do a Red Cross message to get my husband home.
Right.
So that happened. And so we had the surgery, and then I had a consult with the plastic surgeon, but he couldn't do his part till he know what the radiation was going to do and how they was going to do it. So like it was a whole year, 2012. But I'm going to tell you how good God is, right? Where most people would give up and just be looking sick.
Right.
Say, you're going through this for somebody else.
There
I
you
need to
go.
walk and show people who I am.
Right.
Since I did that, I didn't miss a beat. Now, one day I was fighting. Let me tell you, I had braids in my hair when I started chemo. And I think I had on my fourth round of chemo, the lady said, your hair haven't fallen out yet.
Hmm.
Said, that's amazing because most people after the second one, their hair just falls out. You on your
Right.
film. And I was like, because it's God.
Praise God.
It's
Yeah.
But after that, my hair started falling out. But we took the braids out and we just, we didn't cut them like most people shave their head. I was like, nope, just take the braids out. What's there, what's not there.
Right.
I wear a wig. Well, going through chemo, it was like I was the poster child of chemo because they saw how I was going through it. They was like, well, we have people that come in and we trying to tell them about chemo. They be scared. Can you talk to them? Sure, I can.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know this ain't for me.
Right. Right.
Here for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. And like the one lady, she was like, why did y'all go get her? She don't have cancer.
Right, because
I
you wasn't, woe is me.
I
Yeah.
didn't look like it, honey. I had my wig on. I kept my makeup on, baby. You couldn't tell this diva nothing.
Right.
Okay. I was like, look, this is what I was before, and this is how I'm gonna go through, and this is how
Right.
I'll be afterwards. Okay. So I told her, I say, honey, I just got off the machine. I just finished my treatment.
Right.
And she looking at me like, but you still have your hair. Honey, no, this is a wig. I know, thank you.
Right.
But this is a wig.
I know that's
She
right.
said, but you don't look. I said, how you supposed to look when you have cancer?
Right.
She couldn't answer me because I'm trying to see how you supposed to look. I supposed to look sick. I
Mm-hmm.
supposed to look, scared, crying.
Right.
What? Tell me how I'm supposed to look. She couldn't answer me. So fast forward, did the radiation. But all this time I'm going through that, I'm gonna tell y'all how good God is. I didn't miss a beat with school. Was scheduled to graduate in December. Guess what? I still graduated in December fighting cancer with a master's degree.
Right.
And that's why I tell people, if I could do it fighting cancer, you could do it.
Right.
It ain't no such thing as I can't. I
Right.
can't, because you can. And so the main thing I would tell people is this: check yourself, because you know your body better than anybody else.
Right.
If you don't know how to do it, it's pictures on and videos on YouTube, on Google it. It'll show you how to do a breast self-examination for yourself. Do it in the shower when you wet, and you can feel a lump. You hold your hand up, one hand up, and you feel whatever. You look for discoloration, looks for if you having discharge out your breast. All that is signs. If you having
Right.
sharp pains, a lot of people don't believe, but if you having sharp pains and you constantly getting, go get checked.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would have never thought those sharp pains would have been associated with breast cancer.
Right. And you said they were in your chest, right?
In my breast.
In your breast. Okay.
Yes. So check yourself. If it's a little inclination like I should go get checked, go get checked.
Right.
Because that ain't just something just popping up in your mind. That's God telling you go get checked.
Right.
So go get checked. And what I would tell you is, if you get checked and you happen to be diagnosed with it, don't get discouraged. Hold
Right.
on to your faith, because if you know who God is, you know He already healed you.
Right.
He said, by my stripe, you are healed. So when that comes to you, like, God, thank you for this victory. I'm already here. I just got to go through.
There you go. Through the
I
process.
just got to go through.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They be looking at me when I tell my story, like, you didn't cry. What am I going to cry for? Because I'm not defeated. I
Right.
know God had me to go through what I went through, because it was going to be women to come along that I needed to help, and I had to encourage, and I had to give faith to.
There you
And
go.
my pastor in Hawaii, she now in Missouri, it was a woman in her church that was going through it, and she called me, and she was like, I need you to talk to her. I say, give her my number, tell her
Right.
to call me. The lady never called me. She asked me, I said no. She said, well, I'm gonna give you her number. And I called the lady, and she called me back. She said, I'm sorry I missed your number. Yeah, she told me I was just busy. And sometimes on Facebook she would tag me and post, or when she says, she's like, thank you, sis, for encouraging me, because I was so defeated.
Right.
And I know that is what God called me to do, to encourage people going through, because even though she had faith and she knew who God was, some people forget that when they're going through things, and they
Right.
get defeated, and they forget who their help is, who their
Mm-hmm.
strength is. And that's what I feel like God had me to be, a vessel to help them.
Right.
Remember, our Father, He is the healer. He
Yeah.
already gave you the victory. The
Right.
only way you could be defeated and cancer could take you out is if you allow the enemy to destroy your mind and think that God can't heal you.
Right. And you
I
give
am
up.
10 years free, cancer free.
Amen. Praise God.
10 years, sis. Look,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I am a living testimony what
Right.
God can do.
Right.
And if He did it for me, He could do it for others.
Yeah.
That's right
But they
now.
got to have the faith of a mustard seed. And the mustard seed, I actually work with a mustard seed. A mustard seed is so small. If
Right.
you take
Super
it off the
small.
pack, it is so, you need a magnifying glass to see it. So just think, if you have a faith like that, what God could do. All He
Right.
said, you just need a faith of a mustard seed. He'll do the rest.
Yeah.
And he said a grain of a mustard seed. So that tells you that a little faith.
Little faith.
That's what he
Little
said.
faith. Oh,
You of
ye of
little
little
faith.
faith.
Ye
Mm.
of little faith. Yeah. So sis, that's good. And God is so good. So good. He's so faithful. And I love that, because just here, with me, I had experienced that as well. A couple of months ago, where I went in, I didn't realize that women are supposed to get their mammograms at 40 years old now. I was thinking it was 45 plus. And they was like, my doctor was like, no, it's actually 40. So she ordered me to have a mammogram done. And I had never, I didn't feel anything odd at all. And so I was like, well, shoot, I don't feel anything odd. And so when I went in and got it done, and then he was talking about it was the tissues was deeper than my and in the left one than my right one. And I'm like, okay, Father, we are not claiming that. We are not claiming that. And so it says, I messaged you and I said, sis, pray, lift me up that it comes back benign. But I had to do the same thing as go through a biopsy, and it did come back benign. Praise God. So yeah, but if you're right, check on yourselves, and when something is off, and even if you don't feel anything wrong, get your checkups.
And you know what, sis? I am still fighting that they take away the age limit, because it's so many African women of color. I'm not going to even say African, it's women of color
Right.
that is getting breast cancer before
Mhm.
40.
Yep.
Right.
When I got diagnosed, I was not 40. I was
Right.
39. So I don't believe. And then when you tell them like, hey, I have a history, my doctor want me, and it's like, oh nope, you have to be 40. So I am fighting and I'm trying to get it passed in Congress where they could take away the age of 40,
Right.
because it's too many women that is getting diagnosed before 40 and dying because
Yeah.
they can't get a mammogram till they 40. That is ridiculous to me.
Right. Right. Mm. Yeah, that's good. Mama joined, y'all. Hey,
Hey,
Mama, we see
love.
you.
Hey.
Yeah, Mama was having a hard time getting in, but we're glad you're here, Mama. But yeah, I think yeah, that is wonderful, sis, and praise God that you were in a place where your faith your faith conquered your situation that you were going through at that
Right.
moment. And that's why I say survive to thrive, because people need us to survive and thrive so they know that they can get through it too. And
Exactly.
we all know that everybody won't go through, breast cancer. Everybody won't go through. And the next thing that we'll talk about is domestic violence, but a lot of people go through different things. And one thing you said was, I said, look, I know my father. You said, I know my father.
Mhm.
And they wanted me to look defeated. They wanted me to act defeated, but I couldn't, because I know who my help came from. I know where my help came from.
Exactly. And let me
And
tell y'all
walk,
something. Y'all
walk through
have
that
to,
process.
y'all could turn that around. Y'all could turn the you know how the thermostat turns the atmosphere?
Right.
That is what I did, because it was one of my visits after my surgery. That doctor told me, he said, you gave me so much faith. And I was like, how is that? He said, you was the first person I have ever seen that got a diagnosis, did not cry,
Right.
think they was going to die. He said, you restored my faith in what I'm doing. He said,
They
because when he said the reason why I came in a room like that, because most of the time when women find out and then we come back in, they're torn up, they're crying, they're defeated, they don't know what to do. He
right.
said that's why I walked out and walked back in. Like, did y'all tell her? Because she's laughing.
Right.
And I
Right.
told him, I said, because my father already told me that
Right.
whatever the situation is, he got me.
Right.
And when he told me I restored his faith, I'm like, look at God.
And there you go.
Because it was something that you needed from me too, doctor.
Right.
Because you was losing your faith in God and with your ability to do what you was doing.
Right. Right.
Because so many people, I guess it was weighing on him, I'm not sure, but from him saying that to me, I took like it was weighing on him that I have to keep giving these women bad news and I got to do
Hmm.
this. And, I don't know if I could keep doing this.
Right.
So that's why I feel like I restored his faith. Like, you keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
But it
Absolutely.
ain't me who restoring your faith. It was our Father restoring your faith through
Through
me.
you. There you go. Ah,
And I had to tell him that. And Like he was like he come in there and like our relationship had changed because I thought he was just a cold doctor. Like because he couldn't process me at first.
Right.
He couldn't understand me. But when he told me that, I said, God, you are so good.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah,
Amen.
just keep pushing, you guys. Keep pushing. If you're not 40 and you got a family history of breast cancer, keep pushing. Keep telling your doctors. Keep telling them till you can get it. Because one thing I do know, working in healthcare, and even before I got in healthcare, women, people of color, is not represented the same way as Caucasians.
Right.
They do not value our lives like they do Caucasian. And I watched the um what it was, family reunion. It was something on Netflix. It's a series, and they like had an episode where Coco was having her baby, and her she kept telling the doctor it wasn't her regular doctor. It was a Caucasian doctor that delivered her baby, but it wasn't her regular doctor. And she was like, something is not right. I don't feel good. I don't. It's just something not right.
Right.
We know our body. And she was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's fine. We gave her medicine. We gave her Tylenol, da 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 da. And the mother-in-law was in there. She was like, no, if my daughter-in-law telling you something ain't right, you need to check her. But since you don't want to, let me go find somebody who will. She went
Right.
and found another doctor, a doctor of color.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And while the doctor of color was in there working on her, and the Caucasian doctor was in there, she started seizing. They had to send her to ICU right away.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, she had preeclampsia after birth.
Mm.
And it caused her because her blood pressure was high. And the Caucasian doctor didn't see nothing wrong with that. And
Right.
when the Caucasian doctor walked out the room, the mother-in-law thanked the doctor of color, and she said, um, I'm here to do what I need to do because we of color are not taken care of like
Mm-hmm.
should be in healthcare.
Right.
And
Right.
that is so true. And they did an episode because there's so many women of color that died during childbirth. I know I'm off the topic a little bit, but it's gonna come back. But it's so many women of color dying in childbirth because we don't get the health care that we need. And that is so true with breast cancer. If you're
Right.
a woman of color, you have to push to get that mammogram. You
Yeah, you
have to
do.
push to get the care that you need
Right.
because
Yeah, you
if you
do.
don't, you will die because
Right.
you will be underdiagnosed. They probably won't diagnose you at all because guess what? You're not 40 and they won't do anything about it. And you could tell them this. So you have to push. And if you find a doctor that ain't listening to you, it's okay. You're paying for that doctor. It's your right to get another doctor. Go
Yeah.
to
Right.
the patient advocacy in the hospital and let them know what's going on. And you want a new doctor because this doctor is not listening to you and this doctor is not hearing you. This is
Mm-hmm.
your health. Ladies and gentlemen, because let me tell y'all something. A lot of people don't know. Men have breast cancer too.
Yep.
Right.
So if you're a guy listening on here, I suggest you go get checked too. It's not just women have breast cancer, men
Right.
have cancer. And it's so important. And a lot of people don't know that because it's mostly men of color that get breast cancer. And it's not treated, it's underdiagnosed, and it's not talked about.
Right.
Right.
So please, I'm begging y'all, go get checked. Push.
Right.
Push for your help. Push to
Yep.
be seen. Push to be heard. If that doctor don't want to hear you, dismiss that doctor, get another one till you get a doctor that will hear you.
Right. Yep. That's good. All right. That's good, sis. Thank you for sharing that because I know, when you shared that testimony a while ago, some time ago with me, I was like, well, praise God, because most times that's exactly what happened. People go, you get afraid and then you start, they just shut down,
Right.
shut down and get real terrified of the news that they had got. And then they think it's the end. And really, okay, it's not the end, and like you said, push, fight
Mm-hmm.
through it. It's a process, but you get through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. All right, ladies. Now we bringing in the other thing that's the awareness this month is domestic violence. So we're going to shut this thing down with talking about domestic violence. So God had given me that we were going to talk about this. Actually, today you were going to talk about a totally different topic, but He reminded me of what this month was, and then so I was in that. I had on YouTube one of a episode called "I Forgive You," and it was called Angelina, episode 4. And so I started listening to it and watching it. I'm like, oh wow, that's right on the lines of what we gonna be talking about tonight. And so I'm watching it, and just know, you guys, that trauma runs deeper than what you think.
Yeah.
It really does. And so we're gonna all three of us ladies have been through domestic violence, whether it's physical, emotional abuse, mental abuse, it's abuse.
Verbal, all of that.
Verbal, all that.
Financial.
Yes, financial abuse.
Financial abuse.
So we're gonna talk about it. And I'll start off because I want to take it all the way back because this young lady, Angelina, she experienced so in this episode, just trying to keep it short, simple to the point. She came home one day and her mom was sitting there at the table with her father. And so I thank you for talking about this. Let's say Facebook user. I don't know who you are, baby. So say who it is.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. But so she came home and she was like, Dad? And the dad was supposed to have been gone. Apparently, he was supposed to have left him and the mama and the daughter. Hey, Melissa. Oh, thank you for joining, babe. Yeah, thank you. So he had pretty much left both of them. But the daughter was like, Mom, I thought you said that you wasn't in contact with dad. And so she told the mom went running after the dad because he got up. He was like, I told you we will not do this if she's around. So basically, he didn't want their daughter to be there. He wanted a relationship with
But
the
not
mother,
with the daughter.
didn't want his daughter. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I kept on watching and kept on watching. And so he got up and he stormed out, and then the mama went chasing after him. She on the door, no, don't leave. And then first of all, if he wants to leave, you let him leave. And so basically what you did was you told him that it's okay for him not to choose your child,
Right.
Mhm.
his daughter. So I was like, oh my goodness. So we talking about DV trauma. So with his words, that was abusive, what he said. And then for him to walk out on supposed to be both of them, but in actuality, he walked out on the daughter.
Yeah.
And the mama allowed it. So,
Mhm.
needless to say, the daughter grew up, and so she started dating. She started going through the same cycle that her mother went through, and she was trying her hardest to break free from that. But she didn't know how to do that because who was her example?
Her mother.
Right.
Her mother was the example. And so she got older, and I guess the father had passed on, and she went and she came to talk to her baby or to her mom. And she was like, I just got to ask. I have to ask, did you ever stop seeing him?
Yeah.
She said no. So basically, all these years, you still seeing this man, but the daughter couldn't be anywhere in the vicinity. So
Right.
imagine what that did to Angelina. It killed her. So then she see, okay, well, my mom went through this. So now what happens is self-worth. She don't even understand and know who she is because she didn't took on her identity from her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens many times is we take on the identity of what we were shown.
Right.
And so her mom finally admitted, and she was like, I thought she pretty much didn't think that she was going to ask that question, but she asked that question and she was honest with her. And the daughter said, I forgive you. I forgive you. And so what I do know is the mother didn't have any value for herself.
Yeah.
She didn't know who she was. And
Mm-hmm.
she probably, that cycle
'Cause-
probably
Just kept
repeated from
repeating.
what she saw.
right, and that's what I was gonna say. She seen that from her mother. Her mother,
Yes.
and it just
Yes.
down generational curse.
There you go. And it repeats. And so I think it really just really hit me because I'm like, oh my gosh. I felt how Angelina felt. And I was like, oh my word, because my mom, I saw my mom go through a whole bunch of stuff when we were growing up. I mean, we were fighting her boyfriend with her. My mama, she was, look, let me tell you about my mama. Look, you know how that Medea, that Tyler Perry, she been warming some hot pennies up on the stove and all that. Look, I'm telling you, it went down. Pushing refrigerators on a man and all that. So we saw all of that. We saw, but mama stayed. And so when I got older, because she was so dedicated and so committed to remaining in a relationship, a couple of relationships that was abusive, you know, verbally, putting hands on her. I saw that. So I could so relate to Angelina because I was like, man, Father, that's what happened to me. As I'm coming up with my son's dad, I didn't know my value and my worth, so anything went. I put up with a lot of stuff from him. Then later on, a few years later, I got married. I still went through stuff. It wasn't, at that point, it wasn't physical abuse, but it was verbally and mental
Mm-hmm.
abuse.
Yeah.
Me and my ex husband were together for 18 years, married for 16 of them. And that's what I say. The generation, it repeats itself. So at
Mm-hmm.
some point, you have to break that cycle. And so I look at my baby girl now and I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so strong. And you know what she told me? She said, because I saw what you went through, mom, and I refuse. So that cycle was broken. And
What?
she said, you taught me so much and you are strong because I had to finally realize my worth and my value after 18 years. I
Mm-hmm.
said, enough is enough. I understand what I'm worth. I understand who I am. And I know what God says about me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't love me and appreciate me the way my Father loves me and appreciates me, it's time to go. And I released it. Yes, you guys, was it hard? And I filed for divorce because it was hard. It was probably, I won't say that, before I lost my son, that was the hardest thing I've had to endure, was divorcing my husband. Because Jessica, I did everything in my power
Oh
to
yeah.
hold on to my husband
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted. Growing up, we didn't. We were constantly moving, constantly moving. We were here, we were there. It wasn't a lot of structure. You know what I'm saying? Stability, should I say? Stability, so because we moved around, and I think when I got married, I seeked and I yearned for that stability. He got me. He provides for me. But little do we know, ladies and gentlemen, because men and women, we suffer domestic violence. We do. So you guys pay attention to the signs and understand your value and your worth. And when you know who you are and whose you are, you won't allow that to happen to you ever again because your expectations will be like, well, if you don't love me like God loves me, and He says that I'm the apple in His eye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when I cry, he's catching my tears. He's not telling me, "Oh, stop being a big baby. Stop crying. Crying ain't gonna do nothing for you." Well, why don't you love on me?
Yeah.
Why don't you show me that you love me?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, we went through it. I went through it and I saw that. And I was like, you know what? What really broke me, you guys, was somebody asked me, your daughter is growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
showing her that this is okay. From that moment on, I talked to my baby girl and I said, I'm tired. And she said, I know. the best thing for you to do is to get a divorce. Now,
Well,
coming
she
from
was
her,
tired too.
I was holding my family together because I was like, I don't want to feel like a failure if I divorce my husband. But
Mm.
they were tired. And she said, no, be done. So I was done. I prayed on the course and I was done. And so your children pay attention because they're seeing things. And a lot of times they will make you realize who you are
Mm-hmm.
and how much you're worth. So today, I tell you what, I said, thank you, Father. I did something right because she's a
Mm-hmm.
strong cookie. And she won't.
She
And
You
is.
did not call my niece a cookie.
I called her a cookie, a strong cookie.
Yes.
But she is. And
She,
y'all know that. And she's not going to allow anybody to mistreat her and abuse her. And I said, thank you, Father, because I prayed for protection over her, that she would not allow anybody to do that to her ever in her
Yeah.
life. So I'm done talking about me. Jessica, you got the floor, baby.
oh, Jessica,
I,
let me hit on
Oh,
something.
hold on. What did you say, sis?
I said before Jessica started, let me hit on something you said. You
Okay.
said generational stuff. You need to break it, right? You broke it with Drea when you started talking to Drea.
yeah.
Yeah,
When a lot of people, men and women, in order to break it, you have to talk about it. If you don't,
right,
it will never be broken. And
right,
will just continue to see what we're doing, and they just gonna emulate what we are doing. But if we
right,
talk about it, even if we can't heal ourselves, let's heal our kids.
Yeah.
right, right,
Because sometimes we can't heal ourselves because we don't know how to heal ourselves. But we could talk to our kids, and in us talking to our kids about what we enduring, we healing our kids, and they could break that curse.
Yeah.
right.
So
And
thank
she was old enough to understand.
yes, but
Yeah,
thank you for talking to my niece to break that. And a lot of people have to start doing that. And and I hate when people say, "Oh, they're my kids. I don't talk to them about my problems." Sometimes you need to,
absolutely. To see what their perspective is and how they're
Mhm.
feeling.
because
Yes,
and that's
they have feelings too.
how our kids feeling. We going through all this abuse with this man, and our kids are going through it too. And that's what we fail to realize. Our kids are going through it too. So
Yeah.
Right,
we need to see how they feel. And you,
right,
what you said, and Jessica, I promise this is the last thing I'm gonna let you
Oh,
talk.
you're fine.
What you said, sisters, I was trying to hold my family together.
yeah,
Sometimes you can't hold your family together. What your family need is that release out of that bondage and out of that.
absolutely.
Yep.
And I am so glad you talked to Dre. She said, release, let go, be gone, be done.
Yeah,
And if we listen to our kids be ready to get out of
They
that
do.
environment.
they do.
Yes,
Yeah,
oh, I need a two parent household for my kids because
Sometimes
I
that ain't right.
exactly.
right.
Sometimes
Sometimes
they
we hurt them
know how.
more than we help them when we stay in situations like that.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
I know, and even with Jeremy, Jeremy had been done.
He was angry.
He was angry. He had been done. He was like, Mom, why? Why are you holding on to this? And later on, I explained to him the why, and he understood, but it really took because it was her daddy that I was with. And I knew when I left Jeremy's dad because of domestic violence, because he almost tried to take my life, I didn't want to feel like a failure again. I'm not this is not even working. Now I got to release this relationship. And so when she said that, it freed me like, whoa, okay, I get it. I know you tired, but you tired too? I definitely got to do something different.
Hmm.
So thank you, sis, for saying that. Yeah.
mhm.
Jessica, you got the flow, baby. Let's hear you. What's up?
I really thought you were just gonna ask me questions and I can answer them.
So I will. So
We
you, yeah, because I do have some questions, but I kind of wanted you to kind of share. But I do know what you went through, the domestic violence that you experienced, and I know it was hard. But so share with the listeners and share with us why you remained. What was
re-
going on the inside of you for you to
Lord.
remain?
Um, I would say that like if you don't have the right kind of conversations with your parents growing up, then you stay for stuff that you shouldn't stay for because you're trying to prove that you're worthy,
Mm-hmm.
that you're worthy of this love, you're worthy of like this adoration, you're worthy of somebody to care about you because you care so much because you love this way and people don't love in the same way, you know? So, you know, the first one, it was I really kind of tried to keep it under wraps because I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like I was scared for my life. Like
Right.
this dude is gonna kill me.
Right.
And you know, it started while I was pregnant. It was like small stuff, you know, like
Mhm.
little stuff. And it's like, okay, so you snatched my chain off my neck and you pushed me down. Okay. Then, you know, it just gradually got worse. And I'm like, I'm carried, like I'm literally like huge pregnant, you know, and it got worse and just got worse. And I finally got to a point, if I could be candid, my birthday when I turned, I believe I was turning 27 or 28.
Mhm.
Uh, I had got up that morning and I went over to my dad's house, went and got my birthday card from him, you know, and came back to the house and like I had made up in my mind on my way home, like I'm done. And I didn't say nothing. I just was like, oh, I'm done.
Right.
And I went underneath my sink in the kitchen and grabbed really big black trash bags. You know how my daddy did with them big black trash
The big.
bags.
Mhm.
I got like 4 or 5 of them and I was packing his stuff
Right.
because I was done and I didn't want to say nothing because I don't want to trigger you at this point. So I went in my room, locked the door, packing his stuff. And his green eyes went from green to red. This wasn't the
Right.
same person. This wasn't and it always did, but it was like it was really bad this time. And like I just remember telling him, just go ahead and kill me. Cause that's what you want to do. Just do it. Like I gave up. I was done. Like I
Mm.
couldn't go no more. I was like, I'm done. Just
Mm.
do it if you're gonna do it, you know.
Right.
And I don't know what triggered. I don't know what stopped him, but you know, he was like, "You just don't know how much I love you." I said, "You know what? I want you to hate me."
That's right.
Right.
I was like, I
Right.
just told him, I was like, "I want you to hate me. I
Right.
don't want you to love me. I want you to hate me." I ended up, you know, getting a restraining order and sticking with the restraining order this time. And July 13th of 2009, to this day, no one knows who did it, how it happened, but my house was burned down.
Right.
And the night before, I had called my grandmother because I needed to go to court the next day against him. And I kept seeing him around the neighborhood. And I was
Mhm.
like, I need to go to my grandma's house. Like, I just didn't feel safe. I was like, I need to go to my grandma's. So me and the kids went
Right.
over to my grandma's. And that morning at 5 in the morning, I get a call. And sure enough, my house is burning down.
Right.
And so it was like, I'm glad I got out. I'm glad I got my kids out. You know, we lost a lot of memories, but I'm glad we had our life, you know. So
Right.
my counselor in the domestic violence shelter that me and the kids were in, and it wasn't like a weird shelter like I thought it was, but
Right.
she was like, you know, I haven't really seen you cry. Like I don't feel like you're grieving. And I was like, I cried for 2 days. I'm done crying. I
Right.
gotta I have to boss up and like I gotta take care of my kids. What do you mean? Like there's no time for crying right now. You know, like literally I did it. I'm done.
Mhm.
And then you know you find yourself in it again and you're like, how did I get in this again? Like how did I end up in a
Right.
relationship like this? And it was more so mental and verbal abuse, you know, the
Right.
tearing you down as a person, making you feel lower than low, like making you
Right.
feel like the smallest thing, and all you're doing is loving this person, all you're doing is
Right.
caring about this person, all you're doing is building a family with this person. And I was with him for 10 years. And you know it really hurt when he passed. Like it hurt me a lot, you know, because this was the man I was married to.
Right.
And but it was while I was in it, I think it was like year 8, I just was done. I was like, you know what, I'm sick of this cheating, I'm sick of you talking to me crazy, like, I'm done, you know.
Right.
And it's that epiphany of like I was watching Diavion become angry. Like I was
Yeah.
watching him become very, very angry. He was like starting a fight, and that really
Right.
wasn't me. And he's still not like that to this day. He's not a fighter unless he has to. But he was just getting really angry and like acting out. And then the kids was just like, "Mama, please stop crying. Like, why are you crying? Like, what's?" And you get tired of telling your kids, "I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm fine,
Right.
I'm fine."
Right.
And your kids are like, "No, you're not."
No, you're not.
Like, I'm looking at you, and you're not. So then I started having conversations with my daughters, and I was like, "I'm going to get out of this because I don't want you to ever be in it.
There
I
you
don't
go.
want these to be the shoes that you feel like you have to feel.
Right.
Right.
Like these are not shoes that I want you to wear."
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get out of it, and I just was like, I'm done, you
Right.
know. But I feel like we stay because we're really just trying to be like, this is my family.
Right.
I love this person. I'm in love with this person. I care about them. I care about their well-being. Like, why don't they feel the same? Why won't they love me the way that I know that I should be loved?
Right.
I feel like we stay for a bunch of different reasons. Now, if you have kids, you're staying because of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
If you married, you're staying because you married, and or you're staying because you're scared of the unknown. You're scared of what's
Right.
going to happen if I leave. What's going to happen? You know, how am I going to function? But the
Right.
crazy thing is, you're already functioning.
Right.
For me, it's like I was already doing
Right.
everything that I did
Good
without you.
enough.
Like I was already doing that while you were here.
Right.
I just like don't have to worry about like crying, and I don't have to worry about like wondering what you're out doing or hearing you talk to me crazy because you're in the wrong.
Right.
You don't have to feel that anymore. And it's like all the love you have in you, like you start pouring that to where it really needs to be, where the focus was taken off of because you were so worried about how do I hold it together, and your kids don't even want you to hold it together. They like, I just
Let it
rather see if you
go.
don't cry, I'd rather see you cry. I'd rather see you be real than I'ma hold it, I'ma hold it, I'ma hold it, I'ma hold it, I'ma hold it.
Right.
Because I feel like in the African American community, we are conditioned as women to, be the strength, be the backbone,
Right.
be the nurturer, be the caretaker, be the now it's like be the breadwinner too.
There
You
you
have to
go.
wear all these different hats. You got to be the hard worker. You have to be, a boss at work. You got to be a boss in the home. You got to like be the caretaker in the home. You got to be the counselor, the therapist, the nurse, the cheerleader, I'm gonna drive you to everywhere you need to be. You wear so many hats, and people don't understand like the weight of those hats.
Right.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
the weight
Yeah.
of the hats is detrimental sometimes. And
Yeah.
I had to have a conversation with one of my daughters, my oldest daughter, because she was in a situation. I was like, you got to get out of that. Like, we talked about this, you know what it is. Like, you got to do what's best for you. And she did her best to like get out of the situation. But the way she did, I don't think I would have did that. She like jumped out of a moving car because she wanted to get away that bad.
You wanted to get out.
She was
Yeah.
done. She was done. And she was like, this is the best way I can do it and get away. Like, I'm
Yeah.
done. You
Right.
know, and the physical scars will clear up, but those
Right.
emotional scars, like she's still working through those. And
Absolutely.
she has a real big problem with trust. And I think that's what happens when you're in these kind of relationships. You don't trust anymore.
That's the truth.
And maybe
Right.
not anymore. It's just I'm gonna
You
hold
don't
on to
trust
this
either.
right here. I'm gonna
Right.
put this blockade up, and if I feel like you doing a little too much, like, okay, cool, I'm done. you know
Right. You put that boundary up
yeah.
to,
and
it's
it's
like
and
a
it's not even
defense
a boundary.
mechanism to
But the
protect
thing
you.
is, sometimes it's not a boundary. It's like a veil we put over ourselves to
Right.
protect us from something, and we don't even know what we're protecting ourselves from. It's
Right.
just, well, I was hurt so much, so I'm not even gonna let you get close enough to do that.
To hurt me again.
Right.
And you don't trust easily when you've been through
Yeah.
that.
Right. It's crazy because as you were saying that, I was thinking about, because I was listening to Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she said that when her and her husband got together, Pastor Torre would tell her, "I will never cheat on you, and I will never intentionally hurt you." And she said, "Don't be telling me that. Do
Right.
not be telling me that, because you are going to hurt me. You're going to do that." But it's because of what she went through.
Yeah.
And so then she didn't allow, in the beginning, she didn't allow her husband to break through that because she
Mhm.
was afraid. And
Mm.
Yeah.
that's what we do. we stink. We like, no, I'm not gonna give you the chance to hurt me
Right.
like the last person
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's
and we
like we
gotta,
want to give, though. We want to give a chance.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
we
But
got
it's
give,
like we
but
gotta have control over that chance.
right,
Like, I'm giving you the chance, but let's see what you do. You
right.
know,
right,
it's always that thing in the back of your head that says this person might not do right.
And
right,
No.
thinking like that, we sabotage a relationship that could have been good. You
Yeah.
absolutely,
know, and my thing is to women out there who's going through it. If you get out of it, and you have love to give, don't jump right back in the relationship.
Don't.
there you
Heal,
go, there you go,
Don't.
heal,
don't deal with that issue, and you go into another relationship. You're not going to allow yourself to be loved the way you should,
Nope.
because if that person do one thing to remind you of something, that person who abused you, you're
yeah,
gonna it's gonna be no trust. You're gonna think that's what this person is, and it could be just a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
But
right,
we see that because we've been through that before, and that's a sign to us. Oh, that's a sign. I'm done.
yep,
And then later on, you see this person married, doing good, no issues, and you was like, "Dang, I really screwed that up."
right,
Or there's the other spectrum of it. You get in one
right,
and you are so busy, like, okay, I didn't notice the red flags, that you don't notice them again.
Right.
right,
Then it's like, well, now I'm blinded to them, and you keep finding yourself with people that are like that. And it's like
right,
you didn't really take the time to fully heal before you got back in it. And because you didn't take the time to heal, you attracting that same kind of thing.
Yep.
right,
And I've heard, like, oh, you attract people, that need you in life or whatever. But if I need you to hit me, I don't want to attract you. If I need you
no,
to abuse me in any type of way, I don't
no,
need to. I don't need that type of attract, and I don't need to put that out there. So I gotta look at myself and, like, get healed
right,
and get free, so that I don't attract that
there
kind
you
of,
go.
love, because that ain't love.
Right.
That ain't love.
And
You
you
know
got
it.
and one
Oh,
thing y'all from experience is, sometimes you love a person and you think you could change that person. You
And
can,
you can't.
because
no,
It don't work.
the experience I went through, and it's going to be very short. I went to the police station on my second daughter's dad, and he was arrested. He got out, sweet talked me back, went,
right,
got into it again. I had to go back to the police station. That god doggone Sam Sergeant was there. He said, "Why did you go back?"
Mm-hmm.
right,
And I'm looking, when he asked me that, I'm like, because I love him. And he was
right,
like, how many times I hear that?
Yeah.
He like, I'm not putting you down for doing it. And he's like, I hear it from so many women, because when I ask y'all, that's the only thing y'all could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. Yeah,
My thing, he said, this man told me, he said, honey, you have to love you and your kids more than you love that man, because he's not good for you. You
Mm-hmm.
come back, you're gonna keep going through this cycle. You
right,
tell you, when he told me that was the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
right,
was me, because it took him to make me realize, like, damn, you right.
right,
I have to love me and my kids more. I went back, and he said he gonna change, and they don't change. They
Ain't.
tell you back to get you back, and all they gonna tell you everything you want to hear.
right.
In my quest of healing myself, y'all, what I found is I kept attracting myself to these men because I was looking for a father.
There you go. That
Because
was just gonna say that.
father,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for that in a man, and the
Right,
that I got wasn't the attention that a father would give you. But when
Yeah.
you get that love from a dad, you don't know.
right, right,
Feel like, oh, he tell me he we got into it, and he tell me he loved me. He buy me this. Oh, he loved me. No,
right.
that's just let me keep you in my clutches.
There you go.
Control.
The else
Control.
with you, so I could control you.
There you
Mm-hmm.
go.
But once I learned who I was and my
Say it.
worth, honey, it was on, because then the tables changed. No, we're
No, I'm good.
and when he saw that I changed, he didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Right,
And it's,
right,
oh, she ain't falling for my stuff no more. Let me try
Yeah.
this, try that.
Yeah.
And none of that worked. And
yeah,
when I went to the military, Now you can get to me. You don't have that access to me that much.
Right.
All we have is a child together. You can call, check on your kid. We can share custody, but that's about it, bro.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so we have to realize, and one thing I could say too is, ladies, stop saying when you see somebody else going through it, oh, I would that could
I'll
ne-
never do that.
I that
Don't
could
ever, don't ever say that.
that was me. I'll do this. I'll do that. Because I'm gonna tell you,
Because you don't know what you would do.
I was
Right.
till I was in it. And I'm like, now I ain't do nothing I said I was gonna do, because when you in it, it's a total different situation.
Right. Absolutely. You are
You know,
absolutely
and,
right.
and you lose friends too,
Yeah,
Yeah.
do.
because the friend doesn't know how to be supportive to you. They don't know how to be there for you because, and on one instance, they're trying to be there and
Right.
listen. But then it's, well, you keep saying you're tired, but you ain't leaving. And
Right.
a lot of people don't know somebody's reason why they ain't leaving. 9 times out of 10, they scared to death.
Right.
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 And it's not just like, oh no, he scares me. It's, I literally think my life might come to an end.
On in.
And
Yes.
Like, and you don't know that because you're not going through it. And I almost lost like a really good friend of mine because of that, because like she knew what was going on, but she started like, she made it a joke one time to somebody else. And I was like, that's not something you joke about. And you don't bring that up in mixed company. They don't know me like that. They don't
Right.
know what's going on behind closed doors. You're privy to part of it, but you don't know.
right,
And
Right.
for you to make it a joke is not cool. So sometimes even our friends and our family members, they don't know how to be supportive in that
Right.
because it's not them. When you
Right.
hear so many people, I would never, I couldn't listen. You don't know.
you
You
don't
don't know.
go
You
through.
don't know. You don't. And the thing is, you should say, I don't want to know. I don't
Right.
want to know what
Right.
that feels like. I don't want to know what I would have to do in that situation. Because you
Absolutely.
calling this girl dumb, but she's scared for her doggone life. She's scared
Right,
for her kids' life.
right,
Right.
They have kids together. You know what I mean? And it's, people just don't realize that, the power of words. And when they
Right.
say these things, because I see so much where people are like, she's stupid, I don't get why she stays, dang, if she must like it, or what did she do for this person to do that, or
Right.
what did he do, oh, you must deserve it. And it's like, we as a people think some real strange ways about stuff.
Right.
How can you look at somebody's misfortune like that? How can you look at somebody in that type of situation? And that's what comes to your mind. Not, let me help this person. Not, do you need anything? A hug, a smile,
Right.
a, a word of encouragement. It's,
Right.
well, you stupid. Or what was you doing? Or what was you wearing? Or, oh, his
Right.
friends came over, so you should have went in the room. Excuse you?
right,
Right.
So it's to me, people have a lot of judgment on something that they're not a part of.
right.
Right.
They never experience. So if you
Right.
Right.
experience, you shouldn't speak on it. And I did till I experienced it. And I'm like,
Right.
well, here I go. And then
Right.
I used to hear people's like, oh, I didn't leave because I love him. And then what the answers I gave the cop? Oh, because I love him.
I love him. Yeah. And
And
and that's true.
it's real, because in your mind you do, and you feel like they will change. And
Right.
I love them. I don't want to give up on them. You know,
Yeah.
but when he told me that, it like hit home like, damn, I'm trying to love him and see that he changed, but I have to love myself,
There you go.
kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this was a great topic. We need to, even after the month has passed, we need to,
Yeah.
because
Revisit
there's
it.
many
Yeah. And
people out there, men and women, that's in
Hmm.
and don't know how to respond.
right.
They
You
don't know
know,
what to do. And since I know we talked about this before, we had put up a whole lot of places they could get help.
right,
But if you need help, look it up, Google,
Please reach out.
reach out to somebody that can help
right,
you, because
right,
it's gonna end one or two ways, with your life being gone or the abuser life gonna be gone. And
Yeah.
then you go to jail, and then your kids have no one.
But nine
right,
times out of 10, it's you.
right.
It's
Yeah.
you that
And I
that
Right.
don't get away with your life.
Right.
Right.
And I was
And
going to say what you guys said is you really have got to understand and value you.
Yeah.
mhm,
Because when you get to the place where you know who you are and love you like you, then you'll be able to, you won't even attract that anymore.
yeah,
Right.
You'll look at it because now you're in a place because I can say that because that's where I'm at. And
mhm,
I'm in a place where I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I refuse to compromise me
yeah,
for anybody that's not going to value me
yeah,
and appreciate me because I understand and I know who I am because
Yeah.
mhm,
I know what love I give out. I
yeah,
know who I am. I am love walking.
Yes.
And when
mhm.
I love you, I
I
love
love you.
Exactly.
period.
No ifs, ands,
And
no buts about it.
no ifs, ands, or buts. And that's what it is. It's genuine, real, agape, that
No.
Unconditional.
God kind of love.
Yeah,
And if they can't love you with an agape, unconditional love,
yeah,
then that's not the person for you.
I
yeah,
It's
feel.
not. And after my divorce, I said, I'm telling you guys, I got on my hands and knees and I cried and I said, Father, I will never again elevate a man over you
yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what I did. I
Yeah.
elevated these men over my God, and
yeah,
I forgot who my father was. So I said, you know what? It is me and you.
Yep.
And I took that time. I think before I even dated again, it was like a year and a half.
yeah. I remember.
I had to heal. I
Hmm.
had to know who is Keisha.
Yeah,
Because with I want to say with mothers, even with fathers, mothers, we wear many hats. We're raising children, we're married, we're family, and so we have to wear many hats. But what we forget to do is we forget to say, who am I?
what is that?
Beautiful girls here.
I think you got spammed.
Yeah, that's what that yeah.
That's spam.
But and that's what you have to realize, who am I?
Yeah.
What are the things that I enjoy? I tell you, me and my ex-husband, we divorced, and I think we divorced in, oh
That
my
was
God,
2012.
2012.
That was before I
And
moved. Hmm.
before you moved from Colorado.
Yep.
And I moved, when did I move in with y'all, sis? What year was that?
It's 22. I want to say 2019, 2018. What
18.
year you
18
18? What year you went to Georgia?
and
She moved
19.
to Georgia in 2019.
Yep.
So you moved with us in 17.
So 17, because I was with them for a year. And do y'all know it took me that long to get to the place where I really understood and loved me
It
once
takes
again?
that though, because you got to take that time. We
Yeah.
focus
And
on so much, but
right,
Drea became an adult too. So it was like
absolutely.
you really had time to focus on yourself and focus on your needs and focus on what you want out of life. Versus
Absolutely.
I gotta bring these kids up to, make
Right,
sure they're, responsible, productive citizens in this world too,
right,
and making sure, they're, they have the tools they need.
Right.
You
right.
were able to finally focus on Keisha. You were able to
Yeah,
finally, what I put on my post, you're finally able to, add interest and text. You know what I mean?
already.
To who
Right,
you are and what you stand for. And it's
right.
a beautiful thing. Like your growth is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will share with you guys too, because even while you're parenting, even while we have to grind. As women, we grind, we work. We're taking care of these children, but even in that time, don't wait until your children are grown to find you.
Hmm.
Don't do it. Take some time to disconnect, to separate, and enjoy some time with just you. Because in that, you won't just go for anything. Everything won't go. And you'll have expectations and you'll have boundaries. You just will. And we have to have that because if you don't, anything will go.
There, I wanna just touch on that just really quick, I promise. So when you say, you have to focus on you, um it's for me that is like one of my struggles. And I literally just told, I think it was like two of my kids, we had like a little conference call. This is probably a couple months ago, and I was like, what's crazy? I know what all of y'all like to eat. I know what y'all like to wear. I know where you like to shop. I know what you like to do in your spare time. I know how you are when you're down and all of that. I said, but for the life of me,
Mm,
if I go to a restaurant where I would go to for y'all, I can't tell you what I would get for myself.
right.
You know what I mean? Because it's that identity. And my
Yeah.
identity has been so wrapped in being a mama.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, wrapped in being a wife. It's been wrapped in,
Absolutely.
taking care of my siblings and my family. And it's like, but I did it so much that I forgot to take care of me.
There you go. There you go. And you're absolutely right. And I remember it was a few years before I had filed for divorce. I told my mama that. I said, Mama, I said, I have lost Keisha.
Hmm.
I said, I've lost me trying to take care of, trying to please everybody else. But in the process, I forgot me. So do not, Jessica, you, girl, you're going to make me start
I'm
crying.
sorry.
But you have to, and whoever else is listening, you guys, you have to find you. You have to take care of you because, like what we say, sis, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
At all.
We cannot pour from an empty cup. We can't keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. And who's pouring into you?
Hmm.
If nobody's pouring into you, you pour into you.
Exactly. Well, sis, you said a mouthful because you know what? I listen to this song every now and then when I need a refresher. Encourage yourself.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
love, and I will sing it like I can sing. Okay, I can't sing, but I sing it to the top of my
right. You
because
better say that.
it reminds me. If nobody else tell me I could run on, I could tell myself I could run.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saying
Yes.
nobody have to pat me on my back. I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love that song because it just keep reminding you, encourage yourself. Don't wait for nobody to encourage you.
Right.
Self through whatever situation. Encourage yourself that you can do it. Encourage
Mhm.
yourself, like, hey, you got this. If somebody tell you you can't, you encourage yourself because guess what? God said you can. And
Yeah.
you
Right.
have to remember what he said about you, not what the enemy say about you. And when you
Right.
remember that, you can encourage yourself to keep going, keep running, keep pushing.
Yes.
So,
Ooh. And Jessica said something. She said, sis, she said, look at me repeat my daggum self. But she said, I know everything that my children like. I know when you hurting. I know everything about you. But she cannot say, what does Jessica like? Jessica can't go to a restaurant by herself without anybody because she's not okay
Well,
with
and
just
I'm thinking about like, oh, I could do this for them.
right,
And
right.
that's even just going shopping. you know,
Anything.
I'm quick. I am so quick to put something back and be like, oh, that's too expensive when it's for myself.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when it's for
And
somebody
for
like
them
my
kids,
kids or my spouse or whatever, it's
yep,
like
you don't
I'm
care.
gonna get that for them. I don't even care. There's no expenses spared.
right.
So it's like,
And
when
we
I was
others, we
talking to them, I'm just like, I know everything for y'all.
Right. Right.
And so for me, I'm trying to like get back to me. Like,
Yeah.
what do I enjoy? What I like to do.
There you
You know,
go.
I'm tired of trying to figure out what everybody else like to do because I already know.
There you go.
You know.
so what you need to do, Jessica, is get in a journal and
Yeah.
write down what at least just start with five things. Five things I want to do that I think
Right.
I might like to do. And
Yeah.
Yes.
and see. And then if those 5, do 5 more. And then in that time, you discovering yourself, you're gonna
Yeah,
figure, I like to do this. I really enjoy doing this.
that's
Yeah.
right.
And then you're gonna know what Jessica like,
There
what
you
Jessica to eat, what Jessica like to do. So guess what? When you get with somebody else and they be like, well, what you like to do? Oh, what I like to do.
there you go.
I love this kind of food. I love doing this. I like going this place. Because
Right,
if somebody was to ask you, and then I'm not saying like a guy or anything, it could be a girlfriend or
right,
husband
Yeah.
or anybody. Hey Jessica, let's go do what you like to do. Well, I don't know what I like to do.
But I like
right,
bowling.
right.
You
That's
know
it.
you like bowling. That's a
Yeah,
start.
that's
That's a start because you know you like bowling.
there
Yeah.
you go.
So let's go. Oh, let's go out to eat. Let's go do brunch. Where
Yeah.
you want to go at? Well, you don't know because you haven't
Yeah.
experienced. Take that time. You know what, sis? Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. Tony,
Yeah,
here with mental health.
yeah,
I don't know if you see her post. She dates
yeah,
herself. She goes to
absolutely.
the restaurant by herself. She get wine. She eats food. And
Absolutely.
take pictures. This is how you date yourself.
Mm.
Yes,
So we
yes,
have to start dating ourselves
Yeah.
when we don't know, and that's and she done been through something. She could have been on this episode too, but
right.
I love the fact that she's rediscovering who Tony is
Yeah.
Absolutely.
by dating herself. And she always put up videos of her dancing with her little light
Yeah.
because she always did like to dance. She has
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
I haven't seen that girl dance in years.
Wow.
Now she's dancing
Yeah,
again.
she be dancing. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Rediscovering who she is because
Right.
you got two queens looking at her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And
just
when we know and when we discover who we are,
right.
it gives our girls permission
Mm-hmm.
to be who they are.
Yeah.
Even our men, our young men growing up. They see, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
that's a strong cookie right there. Yep, my mama shoot. She'll go and do my baby girl tell you, mama, I love my quiet time. I
Yep.
love me some Keisha,
And
me
that
and Jesus,
yep.
and I love to read.
Yeah.
I do. I love to read, and I love to be in my own space. And
But
I
then
tell people, when you get to a place where you absolutely love being with just you, then you know you're good. You know you're good.
everybody got quiet.
Everybody got quiet. They
Well,
thinking
I
about
was listen. I'm reflecting. I'm just reflecting because I love to read too, and I don't
yeah,
know. Sometimes it's looked at as like, dang, you always reading, and it's like, but that's I really like to read. Like
there you go.
it's something that I like to do,
And
and
you when you read, you escape into the book, and
yeah,
Yeah,
you matters. And that's why I like to read because I get into the book. I
yeah,
yeah,
this and it's like it's my little heaven. I get on my
yeah,
little heaven and I'm in this book. I'm
right,
embracing the character. I'm taking on this character.
right,
That's
I'm
my
picturing all the scenes and what it could be and what does it look
right.
like.
and you don't think about the troubles of the
Yeah,
world
Yeah,
because this is a mental break.
mm,
And going in your quiet time, being by yourself,
yes.
you can start
Mm,
and you can start talking to God. Who am I? I
mm,
lost, help me rediscover who I am.
there you
You know,
go.
and
Reinventing
sometimes
you.
that.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm gonna tell you how I read. You know how some people just look. If I can show y'all,
And, it's-
I have 3 stacks of books right here, right, and I got some in my drawer.
and you probably read a page out of each one of them because you
I
can't.
not a page, honey. I be reading a couple of pages, and I'm like, okay, this morning I'm gonna read this one on my lunch break. I read the first 30 minutes of my lunch every single day, and then at night before I lay my head down, I'm reading something else. But I don't read just be reading. I have to
yeah.
have Audible in my ear, so
Oh,
I
I
actually
can do
have
that.
Audible, and I got the book at the same time. I'm highlighting, I'm underlining,
Oh,
and I
okay.
have my journal because if it's something that sticks out to me,
Mhm.
I'm writing it down. I'm underlining in that book. That's why I love the book, the actual physical book, but I
Yeah,
like Audible because I can hear it and I can retain it. I'm like, oh, girl, you said that. Pause, pause. And I'm pausing it and I'm writing it down.
I
You
can
know,
see you doing that too, and they're yelling at yourself.
Yeah.
and that's how I read. And I'm just like, and that does it for me. And
Yeah.
I retain it, because I read a lot of inspirational books, motivational books. I books that lead and guiding you. We just finished Balance by Pastor Teray Roberts. I read Sarah Jakes Roberts. I'm reading a couple of hers right now. Woman Evolve. I read that. And those are things that we do, to help us evolve and be the best version of us that God desires for us to be. So that's how I read. I have to have the audible. I got my book and I'm following along and I'm highlighting and underlining. So if something hits me, then I'd be like, oh, and you know what it does too? Later on, if I'm talking to somebody about that situation, I can revisit that. Be like, you know what? This here helped me. And I might have read about it or I might have experienced it. Tools. This is what we say. We're going to provide tools and strategies to help you live your best life right now and break through and break forth into the plan and purpose that God has for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we do it. Let's see what Mama said real quick. And you also, okay, hold up. And you learn from your experience and ask God to help you reverse it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had put that up earlier, but you're absolutely right. So, any last minute comments? This was so good, y'all. We're gonna have to do a part two.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a part two. So, y'all good? Look, all hearts and minds clear. But I
Yeah.
thank
I
y'all so
here.
much for sharing. Because I truly believe that this blessed somebody. I know it blessed
Oh
me.
yeah. It
Yes.
definitely
You
blessed
know,
me.
Yeah, and so for those listening now and those that will listen later, just you may not take everything that we have said, but take something. Take something. And Jessica, you said something. You said when somebody told you they loved you, you said, I want you to hate me. If love is this, I want you to hate me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so true to so many people. That's not love. And
It's
if
not.
you desire for somebody to hate you, if love hurts you, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And don't allow them to re injure you because
Yeah.
we do that. We allow people to re injure and re
Yeah.
injure and we stay. So, what we want to say, strive to thrive so we can
Yes.
help this generation and the next generation coming behind us.
Yeah.
To be continued. I love y'all.
Love you too.
Thank
Love you.
you.